Good afternoon, good morning, good evening for those of you around the world. We appreciate you joining us today for the Untangle webinar for our free product versus our paid. We have several things that are going to showcase and highlight the differences between our open source Lite package and some of the free products that are included in that, as well as our paid subscription options in the applications that we have to offer. We really appreciate all the development over the years and the community assistance we've actually been able to have with the development of the Untangle product. My name is Sean Gardner. I'm the sales manager here, and we are going to be joined on the back end by several Untangle staff members to be able to answer questions. And if we're able to, we'll interject those questions throughout the webinar, or they'll be answered directly on the actual question and answer panel. As far as the webinar itself is concerned, we will be recording this webinar and we'll be posting it to our website. In addition to anybody that's registered for the webinar, you should receive a recorded version or a link to that recorded version within 24 hours after the recording is completed. So hopefully we'll be able to make some good progress and share a lot of good information about the Untangle line of products and applications. A bit of housekeeping. We do have a question and answer panel, and we certainly encourage you to ask questions and get clarifications as we go through. In addition, if you have any problems hearing, you'll definitely want to let us know. You can turn up your speakers. In addition, you can listen to the webinar through your computer if you have speakers, or you're welcome to call in. All members or all attendees will be muted, but we will be, that's just to make sure that we don't have any interruptions on the audio, but we again encourage you to ask any questions you might have. We've got a lot of information to cover. We're going to give you a brief overview for those of you that are new to Untangle about what the Untangle product solution is. We'll briefly go over a product comparison on the packages that we offer, and then we'll go into a little bit more review and in-depth detail on some of the free or Lite packages or Lite products versus the paid products of the same name. And then we'll talk about some resources as we go through. So there's a lot to cover. As far as the Untangle solution is concerned, we are next generation firewall or router firewall. And typically we're deployed in one of two ways. As you can see from this slide on the left side, we can be installed behind an existing router firewall as a transparent bridge, and so that the Untangle plugs into whatever you have as the existing router firewall on the network. A lot of people have usually had a lot of money they've spent on an existing solution, and they don't want to replace it initially right out of the gate, but you can basically install Untangle behind that, between that and the next network switch on your network. And so we can do all of the scanning and the filtering that Untangle has to offer. And then there's a lot of people that will take us and then push us up to the edge of the network to replace the existing router firewall when that product is end of life, or maybe if it's not meeting your needs. And obviously we have lots of new customers that bring Untangle in, and we start out as their firewall router. So it's definitely a good option. As far as the Untangle product goes, we have quite a few different features that are available. We have three main packages. We have a Lite package, we have a standard package, and then we have a premium package. As far as the comparison between those, the Untangle platform is really what is the rudimentary portion of the Untangle. So that's all those applications in the Lite package are free, and they're open source, and you can use them forever. As far as the standard and premium package, we have kind of divided them up into different pieces and parts. Some of them get you basically the support that you need with live support on top of the Lite package. And then also any of these applications you can see on the left-hand side can be purchased a la carte. Keep in mind, though, that when you do that, if you buy them as a one-off, they come with initial setup support from our support team, but no ongoing live support. So the live support subscription is really important if you're going to do a one-off purchase, or it's certainly more cost-effective to purchase a standard package or premium package, or if you're an education, government, or nonprofit, we offer our education packages, which would be applicable for you. As far as the differentiation, you can see this is kind of an overview of all of the free and paid applications. You can see that we have several things that are named the same thing with the exception of the word Lite in them. At the top, you've got Web Filter Lite versus Web Filter. We've got Spamblocker Lite versus Spamblocker, and so on down the line with Virus Blocker, with Application Control. And then also we'll touch on, towards the end here, the OpenVPN and IPSec, since the OpenVPN is free and the IPSec is one of our paid features. Obviously, we don't have time to individually go through each of the modules, but we're more than happy to talk with you further about that if you'd like to contact us at sales. We also have a bevy of information available on our website that really helps you to dig into any of the free applications and what that does for you on your network, as well as any of the paid and what value that brings. So to get started, I want to talk about the difference between our Web Filter Lite product and our Web Filter product. And of course, there's different modules inside the Untangle admin interface that you can see. And one of the things that's important to note is that if you have the Web Filter, that the Web Filter Lite is not something, in version 10, what we've done is we've made it so that the Web Filter Lite will not be shown as an available option for you since you already have the Web Filter, and it's more robust and more feature-rich. To give you some idea to start out, we have some similarities in the products. Now, both of them have the ability to block HTTP URLs. Also, you have the ability to block file types, as well as block different MIME types. It's a little bit more specific on the file types. And there's quite a few of those in each of the products. That's kind of where things differentiate or are similar. And then we go into the actual size of the categorized or classified URL database. And for the Web Filter Lite product, we originally started out with a database, an open source database, and we added to that. But that's only about 1 million plus URLs. So it's not super comprehensive, but it does a decent job if you're looking for a web filtering solution that allows you to block 15 categories. It is only English as far as the URLs that are supported, and that also that database is maintained by the community, and we have an option on our forums for you to submit categorization updates. The frequency of pushing those updates to the Web Filter Lite product is few and far between comparatively to the Web Filter. You can see that it's much more robust as far as the categorized database. It has 450 million URLs in the database too. And then also because of the farther down, you see the dynamic categorization of new sites. So as you visit new sites or sites that may or in a small percentage of the time that are not in the classified database, they will actually dynamically categorize on the fly. So the Web Filter is much more robust than the Web Filter Lite product. It also, as you can see, has 141 categories to choose from. So you can really get granular with what you want to see, what you want to allow, what you want to block on the web content that you have on your network. In addition, we have over 200 languages that are supported with the Web Filter, as opposed to just the English only on Web Filter Lite. In addition, Web Filter supports YouTube for schools. So what Web Filter what has a feature in it where you can actually create a YouTube for Schools account, and you have to do that through the YouTube for Schools website. But you can add the classifier or identifier to the Web Filter so that anytime someone goes to YouTube, it will actually prepend your identifier so that the profile you set up with YouTube directly will actually be enforced. And that way you can keep your schools or your organization, especially when YouTube is concerned, you can keep that a lot more down to the policy and the profile that you set up directly with them. Additionally, our Web Filter product has the ability to enforce safe search on different popular search engines, Google, Yahoo, Bing, and other search engines out there. So essentially, what you can do with that is the search engine rewrites the URLs to allow them to categorize so much information. And so they have typically a safe search, a moderate search, and an unfiltered or unlimited search. And so sometimes on Google Images, you can get content back if you're in the unlimited or unfiltered category that certainly may not fit your acceptable use policy. Well, Untangle has the ability at the edge of the network to enforce the safe search as far as the categorizations that the search engine has. And then one last key feature of the web filter is that you have the ability to do a password bypass. So in the example of a school, you can have the students and teachers have different web content filtering policies, and you can have a bypass password that the teacher could type in if there's a student trying to go to a category that maybe has been blocked by administration, and that would give them a temporary option to bypass that. And that feature is only available in the web filter. It's not available in the web filter Lite. The other thing, too, is in the web filter, and I didn't put it as a bullet point, you have the ability to block HTTPS by category and classified in the database. And so it'll categorize things even though they're on the HTTPS side. And we did cover a lot of that information in the HTTPS webinar we just recently did in November. So I would certainly encourage you, if you are interested in more information about that, to watch the HTTPS Inspector webinar, where we talk about different strategies for handling HTTPS traffic. But just keeping in mind that the web filter does support HTTPS content blocking, and then the web filter Lite does not currently support that. But the HTTPS Inspector, which is a new module out in version 10, actually can be used in concert with web filter Lite or web filters. So there's definitely some good information that you'll want to check out on that other webinar. The next item up for bids here is the Spamblocker Lite versus the Spamblocker. And like the Spamblocker, or excuse me, like the web filter and web filter Lite, because these products are somewhat related in what they do, what we have done in version 10 is made it so that you can't run Spamblocker and Spamblocker Lite. Those of you that are still on version 9.4.2 have the ability to put both of them in the rack at the same time, but we would definitely encourage you not to do that, as you're actually duplicating effort as well as increasing the resource requirements of the Untangle product on your box by doing that, because you're having two different iterations doing the same thing. You're just increasing the amount of resources required there. So in version 10, though, what we've done is we've tried to make that fairly straightforward so that you can only run one or the other. And so if you're running Spamblocker, then the Spamblocker Lite will not show even as available. This is a little bit more technical information, but you can see that both of them use the Spam Assassin database, which is an open source database out there for categorization of spam and spam blacklist, DNS blacklist as well. And then also another product that's in the open source community called Nipples Razor. And then we have finally something called Fuzzy Optical Character Recognition, or Fuzzy OCR. So what that tries to do is identify images that sometimes people will try to embed in emails to make it so that they can get the message across as an image as opposed to actually using text. And you can see here that the effectiveness of the Spamblocker Lite is about 90% effective. The deciding factor there is we have our spam blocker has an additional cloud vendor database that it points to from a company called ComTouch. And they have an anti-spam database that's updated. It's very aggressive, and that actually brings the spam blocker and the spam blocking capability over up to 98% effective. And so that's checking for updates nightly. And then the Spam Assassin or the Spamblocker Lite, the updates are pushed on an as-needed basis to the box itself. So it's not as frequently updated as the Spam Blocker is as well. So it's certainly encouraged. If your tolerance for spam is not super high, or if you are not too worried about it, then Spamblocker Lite might be just the solution for you. If you really are wanting to lock down your spam and the SMTP traffic that's coming across, then Spamblocker is definitely a good choice for you to have. Down the list, we've got Spamblocker Lite and Spamblocker. These are a little bit of a unique situation. The reason is because unlike the other two that we've already mentioned, WebFilter Lite, and Spamblocker Lite, VirusBlocker and VirusBlocker Lite actually complement each other. And so what we typically recommend is that if you have a package or if you're running an Untangle solution, that you can run both of these in concert with each other. And what they have in common, as you can see some of the things that they can scan together, is that what will happen is if you have VirusBlocker and VirusBlocker Lite, it will run a scan and check for viruses against the VirusBlocker first, and then if it's rejected, this VirusBlocker Lite doesn't need to actually scan it. But if the VirusBlocker sees that there's no virus, then we actually have the VirusBlocker Lite scan that traffic as well, because that way we can ensure, because these virus engines are genetically different, one's offered by or supported by a company, an organization called ClamAV, and they're probably one of the biggest open source antivirus engines in the market today. And then we have our ComTouch antivirus solution, who obviously you remember from Spamblocker. They also do antivirus and anti-malware. So we're taking advantage of that additional relationship. And as you can see on the last bullet point, they are checking for updates every hour for both of these. In addition to, if there are new threats that come out, then they're actually pushed more frequently as these new threats are identified by these different vendors. So we definitely encourage you to use both of these if you can. And certainly, we currently don't have a client-side antivirus product, but who knows, we may have something in the future that may fit that bill. So we'll certainly keep you posted. But at this point, we typically, if you have VirusBlocker, we typically recommend you run both VirusBlocker and VirusBlocker Lite. And so that's always a good practice. That way you're doubly insured to make sure that you're protected. Application Control Lite. In addition to application control, obviously there's some different features there. And again, a lot of this stuff we've covered in previous webinars, but this is really to try and get you down to what the differences are between these different products. The Application Control Lite uses something called regular expression signatures. And these are typically just regular text and type of signatures that you can see from certain applications that are running, like Yahoo Instant Messenger or Google Talk Instant Messenger. And the Application Control Lite, you know, it served Untangle really well until we came out with the Application Control product, because it's got 90 different signatures. It has a little bit of a higher tendency for false positives because they are regular expressions. And unfortunately, the Application Control Lite as well is not updated regularly. It's based on a product called, or an open source project called L7 Filter. And you can see here I provided a link if you wanted to check that out on SourceForge. You can get a little bit more information. That actually takes you to the list of protocols that they support if you wanted to learn a little bit more. And if you don't have the Untangle already installed, you can check it out there as well. Like the WebFilter and the Spamblocker, the WebFilter and the WebFilter Lite and the Spamblocker and Spamblocker Lite, typically we don't recommend you would run both of these products together because the application control is doing some things that it's just going to additionally cause an additional place for you to have to look for settings. And rarely would the application control Lite, if ever, catch anything that the application control product's not already going to catch for you. So in version 10 as well, you'll see that when application control is running, typically application control Lite is not available. I think it may be available in the actual apps section, but you typically wouldn't want to run them both unless you have some good reason for that. As you can see with application control, we have over 590 application protocols or that are identified, and we basically scan the attributes and the metadata for those. So therefore, we're getting very few false positives on the application control product. It's checking for updates nightly, and then also that's based on a product called basically the Network Application Visibility Library from an OEM partner of ours called Procera Networks. So certainly gives you the down and dirty on that. The VPN solutions we have OpenVPN and we have IPSec VPN. The OpenVPN, as you can see here, is SSL based. It allows for client-to-site connectivity. You can also do site-to-site, but typically you have to have one site designated as the server and the other sites, site or sites designated as the client. The OpenVPN does allow for full tunneling. So if you have remote users and you want to force them to go through the Untangle to be connected or to have the policies enforced, then you can do that. So maybe you have remote users and you want to have them push through the main Untangle. We have a customer of ours that does that for police cruisers. And so they do full tunneling from the police cruiser back to the main location. So regardless of what the deputy tries to plug in for the internet connectivity, it's always going to try and connect back through to the main location so that they can enforce the filtering policy and the different acceptable use policies that they have in place. One of the things that could be considered a drawback with the OpenVPN, Untangle OpenVPN only connects to other Untangle instances. We have had certain instances of, there's a couple mentioned in the wiki that have been reported as working. I believe one is called Tomato, which I'm not very familiar with. And I've even heard of other people using OpenVPN's product directly to connect. However, that's not fully supported by Untangle, so just keep that in mind. And the other thing is that you can use the OpenVPN product in conjunction with our IPSec product. And lastly, the OpenVPN product is a hub and spoke setup, and I'll show you a picture of what that means in just a minute. The IPSec VPN, while it be an older protocol, we've had lots and lots of requests over the years to provide IPSec VPNing. And typically we've brought that into play, or we've brought that product to bear, the application to bear, so that people can do site-to-site VPNing. And that's really what it's designed for. You can do a VPN tunnel to anywhere with it. The problem is that you'll want to make sure that the tunnel is set up correctly. And then the Untangle IPSec VPN can connect to other third-party vendors, which has certainly been one of the main reasons why that's been asked for. So on our wiki, you can see a list of what other devices are supported. And one of the drawbacks that you have on the IPSec VPN is that the tunnel, when it is tunneling, the traffic coming from that other location is actually bypassed through Untangle and not scanned. So you would want to make sure that the location that it's connecting to is a secure location, otherwise you might be causing yourself an issue. While the data is encrypted on the way, the traffic itself is not scanned by Untangle upon arrival. So keep in mind when doing that. That's a little bit different with the OpenVPN. The OpenVPN is scanning traffic that's connecting remotely. So just keep that in mind as well. And then, of course, the IPSec VPN, that supports full mesh networking. And so you can kind of see here on the left, you've got the hub and spoke. And so you'd have a centralized server, and maybe you have branch offices, or maybe these could be individual users that are road warriors, maybe connecting from home or on the road. You'd have to have one central server. So if this site needs to connect to this site, it has to hit this site first. And so that's kind of what the hub and spoke, it's kind of like with the airlines, right? When you have a connecting flight, they have hubs that you have to go through. The difference between that and full mesh that's capable in the IPSec is you can create tunnels to each of the different locations, and you can have a little bit more redundancy and connectivity in that regard. So there's definitely various features and functions, or benefits and things that are helpful in each of the different approaches. So just keep that in mind. As far as the Untangle product is concerned, we obviously just recently started offering our appliances with the ability to get light on them. And so there's several benefits to that. We have the ability for you to buy certified hardware that's guaranteed to work on Untangle. And to use, you don't have to source your own hardware if you don't want to take the time to do that. In addition, if you already have an existing box that's running Untangle, you can transfer your licensing over to that, to the Untangle appliance that you might buy. Untangle appliances come with version 10 already preloaded on them as well. So if you're looking to move from version 9.4.2 up to the latest revision of Untangle, getting an appliance is a great way to do that. So you can take your existing software-only subscription, buy a Lite package or an appliance with Lite on it, and then transfer it over, and then just treat it like another box, but you'll have it guaranteed to work, and you can also do a hardware warranty. You can do a 1 year, which is included, or you can do a 2 or 3 year hardware warranty extension on it when you make that purchase. So the boxes are very easy to use, easy to set up, and then certainly if you have older hardware, you can use that as your cold spare rather than getting one from us. Or if you want to have a couple of Untangle boxes, you can buy a primary unit and a backup unit. So definitely some added bonuses for that. One of the things that I wanted to show you on the website, we've referenced it today, but we haven't looked at it, is we have this package comparison on our website. I'm going to jump over there real quick. And you'll see if you click the word packages at the top of our site here, that you can see kind of a high-level overview. So those of you that are trying to convince your boss or your customer why they should go from the Lite package up to the standard and premium, then you've got a side-by-side comparison chart here where you can see what's included and what's not with the standard package. The standard package does not include the virus blocker. It does not include the spam blocker. And it also does not include the web cache, the bandwidth control, the WAN balancer, and the WAN failover. But it does include everything else. So you have the web filter available in standard package. You have the application control included in the standard package, in addition to the HTTPS inspector, which is the new feature that's out that we recently have. So there's a lot of options, and we want to make sure that you have all the information you could possibly want in order to fully understand what Untangle brings to bear for you. So when you're making your purchases or taking a look, you can see all the drop-downs. If you have a specific application you want to look at, you want to learn a little bit more about them, you can come to the drop-down at the top and select any one of these options here. We'll be pushing a new website here very soon, so the information is going to be laid out very similarly. But there's a lot of information here for you to take advantage of. And, of course, if you want to take a look at the different appliance options, maybe you have an appliance that's equivalent to the U150, which is recommended for up to 150 users, but maybe you just want to get a bigger appliance and run a smaller license. Well, with the ability to split out the software and hardware cost, you actually can do that. I had somebody that just the other day, they had a U500 appliance, but because they have a lot of traffic that they wanted to push through it and they wanted to give themselves some appliance headroom, they only wanted to pay for the 11 to 50 device license on the software, and that's perfectly acceptable. Certainly we want to make sure that everyone keeps in compliance with the licensing, and so that's important to maintain and keep track of. But if you want to get a good comparison as to what our appliances can do and what is supported, you can go to this chart as well. A lot of good information. We certainly want to make sure that you have all the information that you need. I would certainly encourage you as well to take a look at the wiki, or if you're logged into your Untangle, you can click on any of the help buttons that are listed there, and that will allow you to find the information you're looking for with our online documentation. We haven't really had too many questions. I've probably been talking a little too fast to interject any questions. Are there any questions that we wanted to add in? Let me make sure.
I think we're good at this time. We've managed to handle most of them on the question and answer panel.
Great. Okay, cool. Well, feel free if you have additional questions that don't get answered today, we would certainly encourage you to contact us at sales@untangle.com. You can also go to the Untangle community. Certainly give us a call as well. We're available on the forums. We're available on YouTube. We're available on Twitter and Facebook. But if you need help, feel free to contact us. We're always here, and we certainly want to make sure you have the best experience possible with the Untangle line of products. We appreciate your time today, and hopefully this has been informative for you. And like I mentioned before, this is being recorded, and we will post it to the website as well as send out the recorded version of it to those that registered for the webinar. So if you have any further questions, feel free to contact us. We appreciate your time today, and everyone have a good day and a Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays.